I'm Noah with American Trucks, and you're looking at the Corsa Performance oil catch can for the 19 and newer 5.7 liter Ram 1500. Sludge buildup in a motor is something to be taken very seriously, and a catch can is a great investment if you're looking to maintain the power of your Ram and increase the longevity of your motor. This catch can is a drop-in upgrade, so you can be confident pulling the trigger as a DIYer. Now, everything you need to get this plumbed up is included with the kit as well, like the hoses and the mounting bracket. Now, the can itself does have a 3-ounce capacity, and when this guy fills up, it's really easy to remove the drain and then reattach it until next time. Now, the housing itself is threaded and you just unscrew it kind of like an oil filter. Now, the fittings on this system are also quick disconnect, so it's easy to take off if you ever need it out of the way to do something as well. Now, this does sit close to the top of the motor on a 5.7, so that's a great feature to have, and you can take this guy right out of the way of whatever you're trying to work on. So the construction on this separator is very stout. The whole thing is constructed out of 6061 aluminum, so it's never going to rust because of the moisture that it holds inside of it. Now, the fittings on the side, as well as the whole can itself, are powder-coated black for protection, so you won't have to worry about them starting to corrode either. So the bracket that holds the can is made from 11 gauge steel, so that's going to be nice and sturdy and it's going to hold some weight. And then lastly, the hoses that are included are multi-ply reinforced hoses, so they're going to withstand engine bay heat and stay in nice shape, and most importantly, leak free. Coming in around $175, Corsa's catch can is really the bit in the horse's mouth. Now, this little guy doesn't cost much at all, but it really could make or break the longevity of your Ram's motor. Now, in terms of preventative maintenance, this is a great buy. The inconsequential price point makes a catch can a no-brainer in my opinion, and you really can't go wrong with collecting all that junk your motor puts out instead of force-feeding it back into itself. Everything you need is included in the kit, and the install should take you right around 30 minutes, making this job an easy 1 out of 3 wrenches of difficulty. Now, installing this catch can is simple since everything is plug and play. Speaking of install, I'm going to hand you over to one of the guys in the shop, and they're going to walk you through that install process step by step.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, 13mm and 11/16" wrenches, a flathead screwdriver, a 2.5mm Allen wrench, and 10 and 13mm sockets. What's up, guys? Today we're installing an oil catch can on our Ram, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is disconnect our PCV line. To get to that, we need to remove the 2 10mm bolts on the top of our engine cover, and then we can just pull that forward to get that out of the way. So our first bolt is tucked away in this little cutout here on the passenger side. So we'll grab our 10mm socket to get down in there and remove that. And then our next one's right in front of our oil cap. And then we can just lift up and pull forward. Now, with our engine cover removed, we get access to our PCV hose. Now, we have one clip here that we're gonna have to pop off and get this out of. There's a little ledge right there that you can get a flathead screwdriver on and pop out. Next, we can start to disconnect our PCV hose. So on the front, we'll just pull it right out of that hose, and then we can move on to the back. And now at the back, right above our fuel rail, we can just pull forward on this and remove our PCV hose. So now when we went to remove our bolts, the 2 studs came out with them. So we're gonna grab a 13mm wrench on our stud and a 10mm socket on our bolt to separate them, since our catch can is gonna be mounted in between those 2. So now we'll grab that 13mm wrench to put on our stud and our 10mm socket to remove our bolt. And then we'll do that same thing on the other side. Now we can reinstall our studs. The one with the silver threads on the bottom is going on the driver's side. So we'll thread that back in right in front of our oil cap, and then we'll take our 13mm socket to tighten it down. Now on our passenger side, we're going to be using the stud with the black threads, and we'll thread that back into our fuel rail and tighten it down with a 13mm socket. So now we're ready to assemble our catch can. we have to get our fittings pressed into our lines and then threaded into our catch can. Now there's a side that's labeled A and a side that's labeled B. The longer line is going to go on the B side and the shorter line is going to go on the A side. The threaded fittings are exactly the same, and then on the shorter hose we're going to have that 90-degree fitting, and on the longer hose we're going to have the straight fitting. So first we'll thread in our two fittings. And then we can take an 11/16 wrench just to snug these up. Now these are plastic fittings, so you have to be careful not to strip them. And now we can connect our hoses. So we'll just press these onto our fittings. The straight fitting is going to go onto our longer side. Then we can grab our shorter hose and slide that on and install the 90-degree fitting on the other end. Next, we can install our mounting bracket onto our catch can. We have three 2.5 millimeter Allen bolts that will take a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench to remove. And then we can install our bracket and thread our bolts back in. Now with the logo centered, it's going to be pointed away from our bracket. And then we'll just tighten those bolts back up with our 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. Now before we install our catch can, we are going to need to reuse this elbow from our stock PCV line. So we're just going to wiggle that elbow off of our tube and then slide it back on here. So now we can install our new catch can. Now the hole in our bracket is going to line up to the stud right here. We're not going to be able to bolt that down until we put our engine cover back on, and we'll put our bolt through. So now we'll just reconnect our fittings, and then we'll slide our front piece into that tube. And now we can reinstall our engine cover. We're going to be putting the bolt through our bracket and into the stud here. Next, we can reinstall our engine cover. Now we have these two posts here that are going to line up with our grommets. And then once we have that in place, we can line up our catch can bracket and reinstall our bolt. So now we can grab our bolt with a 10 millimeter socket and put it through the hole in our engine cover. And then we'll get our catch can bracket in between and start threading in that bolt. And then we'll take our 10 millimeter socket to tighten that down. And now we can reinstall the bolt on the other side of our engine cover. And then we'll tighten that down with the same 10 millimeter socket. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Corsa Performance Oil Catch Can for your 2019 and newer 5.7 liter Ram 1500. Thank you for watching, and for all things Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.